Testicles, spectacles, wallet, and watch. We've got them all. We're ready to go. Welcome once again to the sheet for this Friday, January 16th. Glad to have you aboard today. A lot of trade talk on the show today. Every Friday's got a lot of trade talk because Dave Pagnotta is going to be stopping by in a couple of moments. And I'm going to do something that insiders hate with Dave, and that is propose a trade. Yes, folks, fantasy trade from yours truly here. But this one's kind of, how shall we chum the waters here? An informed fantasy trade. That's how I'll put it out there before Dave joins us. Lots of stuff coming up on the program today, and a lot of it's going to revolve around Raz in Calgary. Raz Watch on. Let's get to the show. The Blueprint, powered by FanDuel, as always. Download the app today and play your game on FanDuel. So coming up on the program, he stops by each and every Friday, and each appearance is gold. Dave Pagnotta, DFO Insider from the DFO Insiders Edition podcast, Wednesdays at 3 o'clock Eastern from the fourth period. We'll talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Vegas Golden Knights. We should park. I don't want to park a lot of time, but we should have a little whack at the piñata that was Austin Matthews not wanting to talk about Mitch Marner with Mark Masters yesterday, which was interesting. We mentioned Andersson watch. We'll talk about the Dallas Stars. We'll talk about the New York Rangers. Get in some sheet mail questions coming up towards the end of the program today, and that is going to be our snappy show. Oh, and we do have a history segment coming up a little bit later on that revolves an interesting story about 1993 and the Islanders-Pittsburgh Penguins playoff series. Yes, the Islanders upset. Dave Volek's name is going to come up a little bit later on the show. In the meantime, he stops by every Friday. It's always a lot of fun, really entertaining, really informative as well. I've chummed the waters for Dave Pagnotta, who joins me now. Are you in Vegas right now?
I am, yes, still in Vegas. Yes.
So you went to the game last night. Was it weird seeing someone booed in their own barn?
That was the weirdest part. That was because there were a lot of Leaf fans. There were more Leaf fans. I walked the concourse during the second intermission. There were a lot more Leaf fans than I anticipated. Clearly, people circled this one on the calendar, even though Mitch will be in Toronto
next
with
week.
His team next Friday. Yeah. So, but I mean, good excuse considering the snowstorm in Toronto this week. Good opportunity for everybody to get the hell out of there. But yeah, a lot of fans, a lot of Leaf fans, a lot of Leaf colors, and the booing, was weird. At first, I'm like, wait a second, are people actually? Oh, there's a lot of them, and it made its way throughout the building, which was in your home barn to have that happen from the other team was a little weird.
Yeah,
funny.
It's listen, a lot of Canadian markets, whenever the Maple Leafs travel through, they have that experience where there's a lot of Maple Leafs fans, and it makes for a kind of weird dynamic in the building. But nonetheless, you were at the game, so maybe you had a chance to see a clip of this. Maybe you didn't. Did you see Matthews with Mark Masters? Yes. For those that didn't see it last night, this is Austin Matthews can be pretty blunt. When he wants to. This is, Zach, do you have this one standing by? This is Austin Matthews with Mark Masters of TSN yesterday. Let's have a peek at this.
You and Mitch, the last two out in warm-ups per usual, send a puck your way there at the end. What was it like seeing him over there?
I didn't look over. I don't know. So, yeah, I think I've had enough of the Mitch questions for the day, Mark. So, let's just get ready for the game and go from there.
Okay, so honestly, my first thought was on something like that. First of all, funny, entertaining, a great little piece for everybody watching the game on TSN last night. My first thought was, that's what the money's for. That's what the money. Moments like that where I keep getting asked about this and I don't like it anymore. That's where you remind yourself. This is what the money's for. Is that an accurate way to look at this, or do you think it's just like
it should be?
Have there been too many Marner questions for Matthews?
Well, yes, there have been way too many Marner questions, just in general. Like post game, nobody asked Matthews. He was the first one to come out, so nobody asked Austin about Mitch. But Tavares was asked a question about it. He went through it pretty easily. Morgan Rielly was asked a question about it as well, and he was very curt with his answer. He was very just a couple words, and that was the end of it. So, I get it. The guys are a little bit frustrated because the storyline should be about them and how the season's going, and Mitch is now part of the past. But because of how impactful he was for that team, and just like look at the record books. I mean, he's up there in almost all the offensive categories. He's going to be, when his career is done. His Leaf career is done. He's one of the best Leafs of all time. So it's relevant and it makes sense and it's topical because it was the first game playing against each other. But I also get the frustration because you want to prep for the game, and they lost one in regulation to Utah earlier in the week. They wanted to rebound 2 days later to pull up a W. So I get it, but you're right.
That's what the money's for. This is what the money's for.
Yeah, exactly. All of it. Regardless of how many times you get asked, regardless of how dumb the questions may be, not with respect, just in general. Like sometimes we ask some interesting ones, but the guy's got to put up with it, and they get the sheets to do it.
All right, Rasmus Andersson. It feels like we need to all refresh our Twitter like every 2 minutes to see if anything has happened. It seems like this is pressure point now. Like the team that I'm most wondering about are the Detroit Red Wings, but we know that Dallas has been around Ras Andersson for at least a couple of years now. What is the very latest as we have this conversation? Vegas. Well, I mean, listen, like that might be the easiest A to B as well if you sort of follow player wishes. It is January 16th at 1:08 Eastern. Where are we right now? Because at 1:09, the answer you give may not make any sense.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, definitely change pretty rapidly. These talks have picked up since holiday freeze lifted, and they've escalated day after day. And in the last 48 hours or so, maybe a little more, things have really picked up. At least it seems that way anyway. The chatter has definitely picked up with respect to Rasmus Andersson. It wouldn't surprise me to see something going into the weekend, and we have some type of resolution here. But every indication is that he's going to be moved at some point, and that the preference is to do it sooner than later, get this done before the Olympic break. And I think that's been, kind of relayed as well, to the players. So whether it's Dallas, Vegas, Detroit, I think
Toronto?
Carolina at one point.
Toronto, maybe?
Toronto circled back a couple times, and all indications are with Tanev is going to be done for the regular season, so they'll have additional cap space to free up. Won't be the full 4.5 that he's making, but up to 3.8 and change. So there have been a lot of teams that have been poking around on him. $4.55 million cap hit, not astronomical, a lot more palatable for some teams, although some others, like Vegas, for example, is trying to figure out what's going on with William Karlsson. Is he done for the regular season? Is he going to be done for playoffs as well? How much of that $5.9 million can they utilize if they, if they're going to spend it? And we know that this owner is not afraid to throw money around, and if there's an opportunity to get better, he's giving Kelly McCrimmon full autonomy to do whatever he needs to do. But things have definitely picked up on the Andersson side. I think with Calgary in general, like I think some teams have been poking around a little bit more and having more frequent conversations with Nazem Kadri. Blake Coleman, we know there's a ton of interest there. One day they're listening. One day they're telling people, no, we don't want to move him. So a lot of chess being played right now for the Calgary Flames and Craig Conroy.
I'm pretty sure you were the first in on Blake Coleman. I want to pick up that conversation in a couple of seconds. But one more thing on Ras Andersson on an expiring contract. Do any of these conversations depend on an extension? Like, I wonder about Boston specifically, a desire, a need, but unless there's an extension, do they want to trade, Low Ryan or first for Rasmus Andersson, for example, just pulling something out of the hat? Do any of these conversations, are any of them contingent on an extension?
I think there's been the mess. I don't know if they've gotten to the point where they've given permission to figure out a contract or talk to the agent. I do know that, and this has been reported before, that teams that tried before, like Los Angeles in the summer, wanted an extension to go along with it, weren't able to figure that out, no deal. And we know that at the time, at least last season anyway, you mentioned Dallas, Vegas as well. These are the two teams that at the time he was willing to sign an extension with. Whether it got to, I don't know if it got to that point in terms of discussions, and ultimately there was no trade. But for Calgary's perspective, I don't know why you wouldn't want to give him, the opportunity to sign an extension, because it means you're getting a better return. Not you're not doubling down and you're getting twice as much as what, his value would be without a contract, but it does up the pot a little bit. So I think and even for him, like he wants to, I don't think he wants to deal with this and start moving around all over the place over the next 6 months. So I think there'd be a preference on his side too. But just to be honest, I don't know if those discussions have entered the equation just yet.
Yeah. I know sometimes teams are reluctant because they don't want, bluntly, the player to have the opportunity to sewer a conversation and sewer a potential trade because the player decides that he doesn't want to go there. We'd be ridiculous to think that that's never happened before, because I think we both know that it has. I don't get the sense, though, Dave, that is part of this situation. I've never got that impression. Would that be accurate?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, in terms of this season, same, which is why I don't know if that's going to shift. I don't know if that's going to change.
Yeah.
They may say, team acquiring may say, all right, if there's an extension, you guys figure it out. Here's what we're willing to do, and go from there. But then at the same time, you don't want to tip your cap too much from that side of it either. So I would be a little bit surprised if there is one, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. If we get to a point where a team says, look, I'm willing to give you X, Y, and Z if he's on an extension, and the Flames agree to it, then, at least you have the framework of the deal ironed out. Now it's just a matter of figuring out the contract.
From the Calgary point of view, the thing that I think a lot of us, and certainly Calgarians, would be curious about is, what type of return are we looking at here? And it's probably the young player and a high pick. Here's what I wonder about the two main suitors, Dallas and Vegas here. Can Dallas do this without Maverick Bourque? And can Vegas do this without Trevor Connolly? That's what I really wonder about here. Is there any chance that these teams can hang on to these two young prospects? Because, if you're Craig Conroy and you're talking to Vegas, we want to talk about Trevor Connolly. And if you're Jim Nill in Dallas, we want to talk about Maverick Bourque. Is there any world where where a deal happens with one of these teams and these players aren't involved?
I think, I know at some point the discussion with Dallas hovered around some of their other kids. So I'm not sure. Oh, there goes my light. I'm not sure to what extent, those conversations have shifted or evolved.
These types of players.
Yeah. Like I would imagine so. So I think the discussion points have jumped around a little bit. I mean, obviously, for Dallas, Bourque is the primary. That's the primary target you would look at. But there are other pieces that I know have been discussed at some point, at least back and forth between those two, and this goes back again to last season.
Okay, so we'll stand by. That conversation may be completely meaningless in 5 minutes. By the time we're done this conversation,
right.
It's just the nature of where everyone's at with Rasmus Andersson right now.
It'd be nice to see some kind of move, though.
Well, I don't know that that's just as an aside here, Dave. I don't know that that's a piece that everyone's waiting to move, which will cause the floodgates to open, and then everyone gets lubricated. And here we are through the weekend.
To see some action.
But to see some
nice action. Yeah,
I know. Listen, I'm with you, man. That's, to me, trades are part of the marketing of a league, right? Trades and free agency is part of the marketing, and it's sort of supercharged. Yeah, as an aside, other sports have this. Would you be in favor of specific trade periods in the year? Maybe you do two times during the year, you open trade windows. And that's the only, just so everybody knows, for this 2-week slice in the fall and this 2-week slice in the spring, that's where trades can be made. Other than that, you can't make deals.
Personally, no.
Deadlines make deals, Dave. Deadlines make deals.
Yes, yeah, especially in this league. So I like that, and then I like the random ones that just pop up out of nowhere because it spices things up every now and again.
True.
And then so yeah, I like the way we have it right now. Now this year a little bit different because of the Olympic freeze, the quasi deadline junior. So we'll see kind of what happens here, whether it's Anderson or some other pieces that I'm sure we're going to touch on, but there's a lot of activity.
Yes.
There is.
Let's get there then. The New York Rangers. We spent a lot of oxygen yesterday on the program, as pretty much everybody did, after a couple of horrendous games. A game against the Boston Bruins, and then the beatdown by the Ottawa Senators. It's 6-0 before the season ticket holders got in their seats. What happens here? I think we're wondering about Panarin, and we all have our theories. I've wondered about Washington, for example, comes in to help scoring and then signs a 2 to 3 year extension. He becomes the Ovechkin replacement, but I really don't know. I'm just like a lot of us sort of speculating on where he fits. Carolina could be another one. They're always in the mix. What's the latest? Maybe with Panarin, without Panarin. What's the latest with the Rangers?
Yeah, this is another team where things have started to pick up a little bit. And, once, and I've mentioned this a few times this week, and you know this, I think a lot of people do, once you start to see a team flounder a little bit and they dip in the standings or they get a beat down like they have recently, teams come calling in. And then the vultures circle and they go, well, what about this guy? What about that guy? What about, player X, Y, and Z? So, yeah, the conversation with the New York Rangers seem to have picked up. Now, it's kind of twofold. So, one, I don't think they've shied away from the fact that if there's a big fish type of spend, like we talked about earlier this season, they tried going after Quinn Hughes. If they have somebody that they can pluck away that, fits a bit of star potential or is a star and is controllable, he's signed, he's got term, I think the Rangers want to explore that. At the same time, Panarin's a topic of discussion. Other players, Vinny Trocheck recently has been a topic of discussion. There are teams that doesn't mean the Rangers are going to move all these guys, but teams are starting to call. And I with Panarin, I'll get to Trocheck in a second, but with Panarin, I think they want to have an idea. Can we sign you to a contract that makes sense for us? Otherwise, we're going to have to explore this. And I think they're getting to that point. I don't know if they're there just yet, but I think they're getting to that point where these are going to be more lively discussions involving Panarin. So whether the teams that, whether it's the Carolinas or the Washingtons or, some of the other clubs that are out there that have a little bit of cap space, wiggle space, and are looking like, I don't know about a trade per se, but Los Angeles, to me, a team looking to fill some additional holes up front. We all know they need goal scoring.
Yes.
But LA is an interesting one for me on a variety of different fronts because they are looking in different avenues to get a little bit bigger and physical in one area, and then add more firepower / goal scoring in another. So I'm curious there. I mentioned Trocheck. There are teams. One team that has been circling on him, the Minnesota Wild, and we know that Minnie is not afraid to continue to make moves, and Billy Guerin has been very active.
Yeah. Before
the Hughes trade, he was looking at second line type of player, top 6 type of guy. That hasn't really stopped. So whether it's going to be at the center position or somebody else on the wing, but it certainly sounds like at the very least Minnesota has poked around on Vinny Trocheck's availability in New York.
USA Hockey, the Olympics, Bill Guerin,
a few connections.
Trocheck. Oh, by the way, I saw something, read something this morning that made me think of you, and I wanted to make sure that we went over it. At the Mayor's Manor site, they were wondering and speculating on, based on certain conversations, Evander Kane. Ken Holland, went for him once. Does Ken Holland shoot for him again? Now that the fire sale, I shouldn't say fire sale. Now the sale is on in Vancouver.
I started hearing that about maybe a week ago. That there were at least some loose conversations between them, and then as you said, Mayor John Hoven put that out yesterday, I think it was. With respect to their availability. Now, I don't know necessarily if it's focused exclusively on Evander Kane, because I do think there are some other pieces that the Canucks have that the LA Kings have interest in and have expressed some interest in. And I know with Vancouver, the Connor Garland topic has picked up quite a bit in the last couple of weeks, with a lot of attention on Sherwood. We heard all the Jake DeBrusk stuff after he was scratched and whatnot. But Connor Garland is another player with his no trade or no move, whatever it is, kicking in July. There have been some discussions there as well. And again, LA needs offense. I don't think they're going after Evander Kane for his goal scoring ability because it's not really been there this season. I think it's the other intangibles in his game that might attract a team like LA to it, but I think there's interest in some other players there. So I'm wondering exactly what is kind of cooking there. Is this a little bit larger than just, going after a player for, let's be honest, there's not a lot of, like, the Canucks aren't going to be pulling in a haul for Evander Kane. It's likely a prospect or a draft pick. But does that conversation expand?
I do wonder how much business Vancouver does get done at this trade deadline. Like, I look at, I was saying this on Sekeres and Price today. Like, I look at the Detroit Red Wings. I keep circling back to Detroit. I look at Detroit and I say to myself, like, if I'm Steve Yzerman, I can do all my shopping in one place. And perhaps the most interesting idea that I was talking to about someone not too long ago was, you know who needs Filip Hronek? Detroit.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I don't know if he would be interested. I don't know if Detroit would be interested, but I look at the player and what he brings and who he is, and I look at Detroit and I say, that's the exact defenseman they need right now. There's a lot of different types of forwards they need, and they do need one more top six guy. But as far as defensemen go, I keep coming back to Filip Hronek.
Yeah, and look, I know a lot of Detroit fans always, say, well, nothing comes out from Steve Yzerman's camp and whatnot. And you're right. Keeps it close to the vest. But there's 31 other teams that like to, dish a few things out as well. And the conversation, when you're that active, the conversation starts to expand a little bit and the whispers get a little bit louder. So it's clear that the Detroit Red Wings are exploring the market to see how they can improve this team now and moving forward. And you're right. D-core, and we just talked about Rasmus Andersson earlier.
Yeah.
They're looking at the top four quality guy. And then at the same time, they've been looking for another team, extra firepower up front. And I don't know to what extent they get involved in, the full rental market. We know that they've had interest in Kiefer Sherwood. That's one of the teams that have poked around. He's injured right now, but that you make an interesting point because there is an opportunity here to pluck a couple of pieces away from a team versus having to kind of make multiple type of moves here between now and the trade deadline. But it's clear Detroit's active. To what extent that action becomes reality, we've got to wait and see when Stevie pulls the trigger.
I want to ask you about Dallas here in a second, but I want to do something that I'm sure is going to get an eye roll out of you. I want to propose a trade. Now, this comes from a conversation. Okay. I know this is what every talk show host hates. Like, I get it. I got a trade for you. Okay, here we go. So this comes from someone who the way I'll frame it is this. This comes from someone whose career trajectory is on the way to him becoming a general manager in the NHL. So been a lot of talk about Dougie Hamilton and no trades and no moves and the nature of the knot that the New Jersey Devils find themselves in. So this person said to me, here's the deal that he would propose. Dougie Hamilton, Cody Glass, Seamus Casey to the Nashville Predators in exchange for Steven Stamkos and Justin Barron. Nashville retains half on Barron, which gets New Jersey cap compliant. The two primaries here, of course, being Stamkos for Dougie Hamilton. For Stamkos, he can go back and play with Andre Palat and Jack Hughes. And for Dougie Hamilton, it's the proverbial change of scenery trade as things are not working out in Nashville. Does that one resonate with you at all in this fantasy world that I have conversations with people about? and then watch, he's going to get a GM job. It's going to be like, that's ridiculous. And just stop with all the fantasy trade nonsense. Now it's like, I can solve the NHL at deadline, but then all changes when you get hands on the wheel.
Look, I think a lot of boxes get checked here because, first of all, New Jersey has that interest in Stamkos since that became a possibility, going back earlier on in the season. So I think there's definite interest, and there's been a reluctance from New Jersey, from Barry Trotz in Nashville to retain at all on Stamkos' deal.
Don't have to here.
So how the heck do you make the money work? Well, this is how you can pull it off by moving out Hamilton and doing that. Now, little bit less term. I think Stamkos has
they have same term. They have same term.
Oh, they do have both.
Same term. Yeah.
But now you're moving out. Yeah, from New Jersey's perspective, you're moving out a guy that needs a change of scenery, and I think at this point definitely wants one.
Yeah.
And you get some other pieces if you're Nashville. That make this more inviting. And it allows you to do some other work potentially afterwards as well if you've decided to move on from Steven Stamkos. Now, at the end of this, it really comes down to obviously Stammer being comfortable with the deal, and
that's the
big one,
right? That's the big one,
right?
That's the exact issue right there. That's it.
For me, though, because the interest in New Jersey has been a good chunk of the season so far, I haven't been given any indication that they're no longer part of the mix, which would lead me to believe that obviously this has gone back to the player and that there would be consideration for something like this. I don't know this definitively. I'm just trying to connect dots here.
Sure.
But because this has gone on for months, in terms of New Jersey's interest, I've got to believe that there's at least some consideration that he would give to making this happen. But the numbers make sense. Now, maybe there's a few other players that get kind of swapped out, but it does make sense from that perspective.
The pitch, if you're Nashville too, is like we're sending you somewhere that's closer to the playoffs than we are. That's closer to and you can play with Andre Palat again and probably Jack Hughes.
Yeah, like there's it's and that's what look, especially the way that Stamkos has been playing now, and recently with him getting back on track, over 20 goals again, and like this is an opportunity for you to spike up those numbers, play in a more fast pace. I mean, he's not the fastest by any stretch, but lost a little bit of speed. But this is a different in terms of overall competitive pace. It's different. New Jersey still wants to get things going, and they still want to push for playoffs, and they still believe that they have the horses to do it. But they've been struggling in scoring the goals, and Stamkos, he hasn't lately.
We have someone by the name of Jack Hughes who will look for you every time he's on the ice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You can go on the right side. You can do your thing. He will get to you. Yes, he'll give you the ball.
You can live in one-timersville for the rest of your career because Jack Hughes is your center. Yeah. Dallas, a couple moments left with you. Dallas, what's the latest with Jim Nill's squad? This is bluntly, this is another obviously go for it year for the Dallas Stars.
Yeah, and this is another scenario where, similar to last season, they went to one spot and they went to San Jose and they brought in Mikael Granlund and Cody Ceci. Checked a couple of boxes here. I think that's what they want to do again. And I think a lot of people understand that they've got an area that they want to address on the back end, and they want to bring in somebody up front, not having Tyler Seguin, for the rest of the season. So for them, there is activity, and they like last year. I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was February 1st of 2025 when they pulled off that trade. So Jim Nill's another guy that would prefer and would like to get business done in advance of the deadline. Now, this year, again, the Olympic freeze, a little bit of, it kind of changes things. I don't know how much urgency it really does because we touched on earlier, deadlines. Everybody in this league likes to work on official deadlines. But it will continue to get the juices going here and the conversation going. But this is another team that if they can bring in, top four kind of guy on the back end, I think, last year they brought in Ceci to help solidify that third pair. I think they'd like to bring in somebody who can fit, or at least is capable of top 4 minutes, and then another top 6 quality guy. And this goes back to, they have interest in and they've had interest in Blake Coleman, for some time. And I believe that Coleman wouldn't mind being part of the Dallas Stars if he gets moved there. So there's a possibility with obviously connection to Rasmus Andersson to potentially go that route. Obviously, the return is going to be a little bit bigger here if Dallas does do this.
Okay, I want to ask you. You were at the game last night, so maybe you didn't see or hear about what happened in the Columbus-Dallas game last night. Did you see what happened at the end of the game? So,
no, I did not.
Kevin Stenlund played the final 3 minutes and 51 seconds. I know all the old students saying this is like Kovalev and Rangers and Mike Keenan. It wasn't like that. They're protecting a 1-goal lead. Utah is. And so it's Utah, not Columbus, Utah and Dallas. 3:51 to end the game, no change. Now his face-off percentage is like 63.5 or something like that. So it makes a lot of sense. But it was just weird watching a guy as all of his line mates change. Kevin Stenlund stays on the ice for 3:51. We've seen defensemen, but centers now. Mind
it's a lot of trust.
Right? That's what I'm thinking. Like, good on Bear for sending him out there again. But it leads me to a last question for you. Utah's going to do something, right? Like I think so. Of all the teams, I can't see Utah being this close with that GM, and maybe more specifically that owner sitting this close and saying, you know what, we're okay. I can't see it. I can't see it.
this has been the interesting one because we talk about, and I've mentioned this earlier on in the season too, but we've talked about, Carolina and, New York and some of these teams that are not afraid, San Jose now, not afraid to take big swings, Vegas always.
Yeah.
Utah's another. Utah, since the start of the season, since the offseason, has been, and they made the Peterka trade. But this has been another team that I'm just waiting, because every indication that I've been given from people in that organization is that we have the means to take a big swing and to go get another big fish if we need one. And it's just a matter of finding that piece. Yeah. And I'm just waiting for them to try to find that. I'm maybe it shifts because of how the market ends up, being dictated over these next few months, and trade during the Olympic freeze. You can still talk. So,
sure.
Maybe that the definition of what they're looking for gets altered because of it, at least for now. So maybe they do enter kind of the, rental mix, but I think it's somebody, the preference would be to go bigger and bring in somebody that's controllable, and has term and is not just a piece for the rest of the season. Again, that may change. The philosophy of that may change, but I'm just waiting for Utah to make that type of swing. Because you're right. Bill Armstrong's willing to be aggressive. The ownership is willing to be overly aggressive. And we know they're not afraid to spend money. Guy dropped $200K to get the locker room done in a month. So there's no issue with him spending money. It's really a matter of Bill Armstrong and the crew there to try to find that piece. But I've been waiting for that big piece to happen there, another big move for them, because they're lurking. They're always lurking.
I was firmly convinced that if those Panthers players would have hit the market on July 1st, that Utah was going to be first to the trough, that they were going to be first to the trough to grab one. That's the one. And then we'd be looking at Ekblad and Sergachev as a top pair for Utah. Oh, that would have been something. That would have been
wanted it. They wanted that to happen. Yeah.
That's in the what if category. Dude, enjoy the rest of your day in Vegas. Thanks as always for stopping by. You are the best. I always appreciate you coming on here on Fridays, pal.
I love my Fridays with you, buddy. Take care.
All right.
We'll talk soon.
I'll have more goofy proposals for you next week. And thanks for keeping the eyeball rolls to a minimum. I appreciate it. Thanks, pal.
I kept it in, but that one made sense.
We actually got a decent one there. All right, Dave Pagnotta from the fourth period. He's a DFO Insider here, and the DFO Insider edition, Wednesdays, 3:00 Eastern, live right here at our DFO YouTube channel with Dave Pagnotta and Irfan Ghaffar, is must listen to and must watch. We can't say TV, digital offering, digital programming. There we go, digital programming. I just stumbled into that one. Anything there tickle your chin there, bearded Zach?
Bearded. Like it changed from yesterday. Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of interesting about Dallas going and trying to find a way to get from the same place again like they did last year, where it was like all of a sudden, okay, picked out a couple of guys out of San Jose, got the pieces that they wanted. That possibility comes up here again. The Stamkos trade proposal.
Like that one?
I like that one.
See, that comes from the quote-unquote informed position of someone who lives in that universe and will one day be a general manager in the NHL. Right. I am almost 100% on. So that's why, and we just sort of go back and forth on texts on things like this. And I'm like, you know what? I'll share this one with Dave and see what he thinks about it. Makes sense.
No, I like that one, and that's obviously the piece they've been looking for. That was talked about, before the Hughes stuff took off, before the Dougie Hamilton stuff became public, Stamkos. So yeah, I mean that one makes sense, and then that's the easiest way as well. I mean, you guys are talked about this. I don't need to rehash it, but the one piece of salary retention gone, like that's wiped off the table effectively. So yeah,
I like that one. Retain half on Barron, expiring.
Yeah.
Okay, how about the Buffalo Sabres? Hey, last night, Tage Thompson. Nothing like an empty net hat trick. Always been like, how much did you celebrate an empty net hat trick? But why not, man? You're the Buffalo Sabres. You're Tage Thompson. 5 points, beat the Orange. Yeah, I'm celebrating. Good on Buffalo, man. Just continues to be an awesome story. Just continues to be great game after great game by the Swords.
Yeah, I did. I helped out and produce DFO Rundown this morning, and Gregor showed up and was wearing his Sabres shirt, and it led to like a 15-minute or a 10-minute conversation between Rucker and Greg about jerseys and colors and everything. It was awesome. I know that has nothing to do with the game, but he wore it because of Tage Thompson. That's why he did that.
I believe it. Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
He's a great story there. A lot of great stories there. I love the fact that market has popped again. But here's the thing. After all of that, after this stretch with a 15 wins in 17 games, wild card 2. Nothing guaranteed.
Yeah, I know.
Nothing guaranteed. Like, you just hope for Buffalo's sake that they end this drought and can actually pull this off and just get in the playoffs. But after all of that, WC2. Again, it's not the points; it's the teams ahead of you. For everybody looking at the standings, saying, "Oh, look, it's close. We're only a couple here and a couple there." 3-point games, and the teams you have to jump over. That's the killer.
I got something for you here in real time.
What do you got?
I'm just trying to get it up on screen, but Chris Drury just put out a message to the fans.
Oh boy.
In New York.
Hang on.
I can get this up on screen in like 10 seconds, but yeah, I just wanted to make you aware of that I am actively working on that right now.
Hang on.
It was posted from the New York Rangers official Twitter account, so it comes
Okay,
out there
here
and
it
it comes
is.
from Chris Drury.
Okay, we want to take a moment to connect with our loyal and passionate fan base. We know you feel your disappointment, how the season has gone, first point, etc., etc. Frustrated, want nothing more than deliver on ice product. Proud of, yeah. It's what we deserve every day. Knowing the organization is happy, I know. For management, coaches, players over the last few years, have had some success and moments to cherish. Ultimately, is not the end goal. Working relentlessly to bring Stanley Cup back to New York. Blah 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 blah. With our position standings and injuries to key players this season, we must be honest and realistic about our situation. We are not going to stand pat. A shift will give us the ability to be smart and opportunistic as we retool. There's the word. Retool the team. Nobody wants to say rebuild. All these tough guys don't want to say a word. So
Just say rebuilds, Chris.
This will not be a rebuild. Hang on, he says it. This will not be a rebuild. Here's the thing, folks. Every team is rebuilding. That's why teams make trades and sign players and follow the waiver wire. Okay. This will be a retool. I'm so scared about words. This will be a retool built around our core players and prospects. Who are they? We will target players that bring tenacity, speed, skill, and a winning pedigree with a focus on obtaining young players, draft picks, and cap space to allow us flexibility moving forward. It's what every team wants. I get it. That may mean saying goodbye to some players that have brought us and our fans great moments over the years. These players represented the Rangers with pride and class and will always be part of our family. As we start on this new strategic plan, we will continue to play hard with pride and passion for our fans. We appreciate your unwavering support for the Rangers more than we can describe, and thank you for all that you do for our organization. You will begin to see some of our plans come to light in the coming weeks and months. P.S. Stop saying fire me. No, I just added that myself.
Oh, wait, is that in the fine print? Oh my God.
Okay, so that's essentially saying, Drury saying, we're going to start to trade some players, but don't expect too much. We're going to trade some key players here. We just talked to Dave a second ago and talked about Vincent Trocheck. I don't think anybody would necessarily be surprised about that. Artemi Panarin. Like, I wonder, is this just a note chumming the waters for a Panarin trade? Perhaps. But in the coming weeks is a big one. Essentially, we're gonna get moving on this, and I have to think that the conversations have already started to be had. I don't think JT Miller is going anywhere. I don't think Igor Shesterkin is going anywhere. But other than that, I would imagine they're listing on everybody. Like we talked with Vince Mercogliano from The Athletic yesterday about. They're listing on everybody. Outside of, I can't see them moving Miller. That was Drury's guy in the room. You know, the guy that he went out and got and made captain. That's his guy. And there's no chance in hell they're moving Shesterkin. Everybody else, willing to listen. And I wonder if that includes Adam Fox too. And maybe that perhaps more from Adam Fox's point of view about the Olympic discussion. But More on that on another program here. But the Rangers indicating to their fan base that they are open for business. Well, gentlemen and ladies, start your trade engines, because the Rangers are indicating to the marketplace that they're in the trade business right now. Thanks for flagging that.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to get it in real time. I know that was a bit of a messy transition there, but it popped up, and I was trying to get it onto screen for us and scan as fast as I could to get you the actual important information. Side note on a less serious, but also what the hell are you doing side of things. The Rangers should have learned from the first statement. They should have learned from the first letter to the fans. No need to do the letter to the fans. Drury could have just said this on a mic. Like I'm being
and taken questions and appeared before assembled
media.
media.
Like more so my point is you put out the statement before, you effectively said more or less sent a very similar message to the fans.
That was more like we're rebuilding here, and then that lasted like 5 minutes.
Right,
and they went right back to being the Rangers.
Okay, so then that's what I'm saying, though. Like, why would Rangers fans see this and think that this is any different? I know the wording is different here, Jeff, but, like, why? If I'm a Rangers fan, why am I seeing this and thinking that the first sight of some big free agent, Chris Drury, James Dolan, the Rangers brass aren't going to get all horny and be like, the rebuild is over, the retool is over, we're good again? Like,
I get it, but here's the other thing. I don't think that's just a message to the fans. That's a message to the players. That's not just a message to fans. That's a message to players. That, you know, don't get too comfortable here. Don't let the roots get too deep. Don't buy property. I think that's part. I think that's part of it too. When you put out a letter like that.
I wonder if that is the.
So now we'll see.
Yeah. I asked Laz for a statement. He's on a plane, so I've had
Laz is giving us a statement. Oh, all right.
Yeah,
okay, we got the
I
dots.
asked him to call in. He said he's on a plane, but I've had the dots for like the last 5 minutes, so I'll just at least share with you what he put out on Twitter, because I'm sure that's what he'll say. Okay. I genuinely don't know what to say about this.
They're going to trade guys.
There's
they're going to trade some guys. They're going to trade some guys. It is look, first of all, it's this is an organization that has tried. You know, this is a team that went out and picked up Kane and Tarasenko and Roslovic, and like they've gone out and they've given this a shot, and it hasn't worked. And I think this is them saying, all right, we tried. Andrew Kopp. We tried to do this. It didn't work. We're going to change. We're going to change direction here. And the other thing, as much as I think that this was a letter to the team, I have a hard time believing, even though I sort of say that tongue in cheek, I have a hard time believing that they wouldn't have told at least the leadership team and maybe even the full team themselves that this was coming out. Because at the end of the day, players don't want to be surprised by something like that.
Yeah.
Players don't want to be. Is it still a message to the team? Yeah, but I have a hard time believing that message wasn't delivered before all of this went out. This is essentially, we tried, it hasn't worked. We understand where we're at. We don't think it's going to get better with this group, so we need to change direction.
So do you think that this now accelerates stuff this season? I'm not talking about general long-term plan. Like, they're looking think this is like get ahead of it before Olympics.
Effective immediately. They know how sour the fan base is, and they know their position in the standings, and they know that Igor Shesterkin is still hurt. And Igor Shesterkin, like, life without Shesterkin sucks. It sucks. Like, the New York Rangers have like one of the biggest gifts in the NHL to have that goaltender. And now that he's hurt, this is what life looks like without him, and it's pretty ugly. And this is coming off a couple of pretty ugly losses. Like what the Ottawa Senators did to them 2 nights ago, to say nothing of the 10 spot that got put up on them on the week. Like, something has to happen here. And I think this is one of those, be patient, we're working on it. And you're going to see some results soon.
Do you want to hear the actual statement from Laz? He sent me a message here to read on the air if we want it.
I've prepared a statement.
I thought he was going to give me like a little blurb. He sent me a thought out response. So this is from Johnny Lazarus, Daily Faceoff, Morning Cup of Hockey.
Tri-City.
I am genuinely shocked. Tri-State. I am genuinely shocked about
Junior hockey guy.
Yeah. I'm genuinely shocked about the letter, not the messaging in the letter. In 2018, when the original letter was released, Rangers fans had fallen in love with that core, and while they didn't get it done, they had always given us some hope. This core, or the core that's left, while they've achieved some great things like 2 Eastern Conference Finals runs, I don't think the feeling is the same. They've already traded away so many pieces and made changes to this team. It feels like this letter is almost too late and unnecessary, in my opinion. But I guess it's good to know that changes are going to be made. Official statement from Johnny Lazarus.
I'm Johnny Lazarus. He's got to sign it off like Walter Cronkite, CBS News. I'm Johnny Lazarus. Good night.
Johnny Lazarus, Daily Faceoff, New York.
Reporting live from high in the sky, Johnny Lazarus, Daily Faceoff. I don't know. Like right now, it's hot in New York. So I can understand there's an element of get the torches and the pitchforks away. I think that's part of it, and the other part is speaking to your fans. Now, I thought it was interesting, Brian Burke yesterday talking about as a manager, you don't want to talk to your fans too often. The voice of your team should be someone else, and that if you're hearing from the manager, this is my own extrapolate. If you're hearing from the manager too much, then the team's in trouble. They should hear from you a couple of times a year, and that's it. So I do understand Drury's reluctance to jump out in front of microphones as much as some fans may want him. Like, look, how long did it take Tom Fitzgerald to jump out in front of microphones and cameras? But he did. It gets to a place where you have to do it, just to have some kind of communication with your fans, even just to publicly acknowledge that you hear them. I think is an important thing, right? Like, these are your customers. Acknowledge that you're listening to them. And for that, I think that Drury made the smart move here for sending this out. Now, I am with you in the sense that I still do think, like much like Tom Fitzgerald did earlier this week, you should probably do it in front of assembled media as well. Yeah. Just for follow-up questions. I'm sure, our buddies, Peter Baugh and Vince Mercogliano and Molly Walker would all want to have a chance to talk to Chris Drury publicly. But good first step. We'll see how the Rangers follow it up.
I agree. I mean, I'm shitting on it, but
hang on.
I do agree that this is the right thing.
What wasn't mentioned though was what James Dolan talked about. Hang on, let me grab this here. What James Dolan talked about on New York radio. No talk about culture change here.
Oh yeah, I have that clip. So I'm just trying to get that. Yeah, I know. It is kind of interesting that these come so close together as well. The Dolan media clip. I know that's obviously two very different things, but just to come in succession like that, I thought was kind of interesting. And I mean, just aside from what you're talking about with the actual messaging, I do agree that it was good for him to get out and say this publicly and address this. I just don't like the medium that he used to do it, especially given the history that came with the last one and how quickly they tried to get over that, and the fact that, it's like, oh, well, the Rangers release another statement. I don't think they've had the best track record of releasing statements. I'm not saying they're like PR nightmares. I just mean in general. I haven't really looked at a Rangers statement and being like, well, that one was awesome.
Back this up with a media avail and call it a day and let the manager get to work.
Yep.
All right, so that's the latest from the Rangers. We will see what transpires here. There's a lot of names here, just like the Vancouver Canucks. I know the season hasn't gone well, but there's a lot of really good players on that team. There's a lot of really good players on the New York Rangers. This could make for a more interesting trade deadline. Specifically, here's what I wonder about with trade deadline this year. Given what free agency is going to look like, we always talk about, it's not trade deadline, it's tweak deadline. It's just a couple of depth defensemen, third or fourth line guys. It's tweak deadline, it's not trade deadline, although last year Rantanen went. I wonder if this year, considering how free agency is not going to be the Connor McDavid, Jack Eichel bonanza that a lot of us expected, Kyle Connor, Martin Necas, keep going all the way down the list. As teams realize, if they want to get better fast, the only way to do is trade. Only way to do it is trade. And now all of a sudden the Rangers have entered the chat, and they're going to be pinning up players publicly.
Yeah.
And bodies will be going out the door. Could
weird
make
year
this
though.
Deadline. Oh yeah, totally weird year. And it all kicked off with all these players we thought were going to be available on July 1st, just getting picked off like characters in an Agatha Christie novel, right? Yeah. Bam, bam. Kaprizov, nope. McDavid, nope. Everybody, Kempe, nope. Now we're all waiting on Alex Tuck. And what happens with Alex Tuck? Does he get his $10 million, or does he go to market and get his $10 million there? But that's it.
And now all of a sudden his team is really good. They're in a playoff spot.
All of a sudden,
what the hell?
Yarmo's all right, team's good now. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
What do you want to do, Alex?
What a year.
Okay, so that was a nice little drop in the middle of the program here today. Okay, a couple things here before we get going, and we should probably, because we're getting heavy on time, we'll get to questions and comments and texts and emails on Monday. But let's get to Hungry for Hockey History here from our friends at Uber Eats. Hungry for Hockey History is a presentation of Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app. From game day eats to paper plates and napkins if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip. Before, during, and after the game, Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. And on a personal note, Zach, I like the color green, so I like the bags. Anyway, what do we got today?
You don't say. You like the color green. The whole show that we have is
it's all background in green. It relaxes your eyes, Zach. It's all strategic, I assure you.
All right, January 16th, 1990, Glenn Healy stands on his head. Glenn Healy makes 51 saves for his second NHL shutout in the New York Islanders' 3-0 victory against the Vancouver Canucks. It became the second highest number of saves in a shutout by an NHL goaltender at that point in time, trailing only a 52-save shutout by Jacques Plante of the Montreal Canadiens against the Blackhawks in 1955.
Can I give you a history test?
Ooh, Go for it. I don't know if I'll do well.
It was from your show, the show you produce, the show that you obsess with over clips once the show goes off the air, and every single morsel and corner and pixel of this show. Where did the phrase
it's true,
stand?
Which is going to make me so much worse if I get it wrong.
Where did the phrase "stands on his head" come from? I thought you put that in deliberately because we referenced it this week.
Oh, no, but I did remember when I was writing it that was something we had talked about. It was because... when goalies weren't allowed to weren't allowed to go down in the butterfly, right? And they weren't allowed to go down. But I don't remember exactly why
Frank
Calder
was the president. Calder Trophy named after him. Frank Calder was the president of the NHL.
No, you're going to say it, and I'm going to say, I know.
He said he finally, I think Clint Benedict was one that pushed it the most. In the Pacific Coast League, they're allowed to do it.
Let them stand on their heads for all I care.
They can go down. They can do whatever they want for all I care. They can stand on their heads. And that was 1917 or 1918. And that saying
just took a little prodding.
Has endured to this day. I'm so proud of Zach. A couple things on Glenn Healy. There was always the thought that he was the last to use the helmet and cage. I don't know if that's true. I think it might have been Sam St. Laurent with Detroit, but I will defer to the historians in the audience on that one. I worked with him. Oh, by the way, one of the stories that he always likes telling when we worked together at Hockey Night in 1993. I said I was going to mention this in the Pittsburgh New York Islanders series. Huge upset, right? The Penguins are going for their third Stanley Cup in a row, and they run into the Islanders. And before the last game, Al Arbor, Glenn said, went to everybody in the Islanders dressing room because there's always like, we got you. If Mario will kill you, Mario will win this series and win this game individually. Dave Volek ended up scoring the overtime winner for the Islanders, but he said Arbor went around the room, and this is such a great sort of mental strategic idea to every single player. He went like player to player to player and asked one question. He said, "Can you beat Mario Lemieux in one shift?" "Yes, I can." "Can you beat Mario Lemieux in one shift?" "Yes, I can." And by the time they finished the whole loop, everybody in that room was convinced they could beat Mario Lemieux every single shift. It was just a mental thing, but what a great exercise by Al Arbor. You know, you've been in these rooms. "Can you beat Mario in one shift?" "Yes, I can." "Can you beat Mario in one shift?" "Yes, I can." Next thing you know, Islanders have beaten the Pittsburgh Penguins, and Scotty Bowman ends up the head coach of the Detroit Red Wings. The other thing that I remember from working with Heels, I remember asking him once when I used to host Hockey Night in Canada radio, because he always did between the benches. And I said, "What was the saltiest series you ever heard? Like the worst, where you had to keep your finger on the mute button?" And he said, without a doubt, not even close. He said, Chicago, Philadelphia, 2010. He said there were, I think it was 4 players going through divorces at the time, and everybody was relentless. He said a couple of times we almost got caught with some of it getting to air, but he goes, it was awful what these two teams were saying to each other. Anyhow, Glenn Healy. And from Pickering/Ajax, not too far from here, one of my kids plays APR, and so whenever we go to Don Beer Arena, we see pictures of Glenn Healy and his framed jersey at Don Beer Arena. There you go, Glenn Healy. Now works with the president of the Alumni Association. Yeah, Don Beer Arena.
Yeah, that's right.
Great old barn. Accent on old.
Yeah.
And cold.
That is
old
good
and cold.
Yes. Cold, yes.
Yeah, that's a chilly rink. Okay, finish up with our friends at FanDuel. The Sheet is powered by FanDuel. Play your game with FanDuel. It's the NHL season, and FanDuel is your home for all the action on the ice. From Blue Line to Bet Slip, we've got you covered all season with unique promos, live offerings, and more features to let you play your game. Missed puck drop? No sweat. With a live same-game parlay, you can build your bets up until the final buzzer. Download FanDuel Sportsbook today and play your game. Please play responsibly. 18 plus and physically located in Ontario. If you have questions or concerns about your gambling or the gambling of someone close to you, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. Zach, you making us laugh today or what?
Let's hope. You brought up your boys. Yeah. They went to, or I think they go to the same high school that I went to, and you'll have to ask them because when I went there, by the time I was graduating, they wouldn't let us eat lunch inside in the halls anymore, and they had to put up signs because they couldn't get kids to stop snuggying in the hall. Macklin Celebrini, Jimmy Snuggerud, Taylor Hall.
The school that he's referring to is Bill Crothers.
I didn't know if I didn't want to just throw it out there. It's your kids. I didn't want to throw that.
Anthony Cirelli went there. There's a lot of a number of NHL.
Morgan Frost.
Oh yeah, that's right. Morgan
Travis
Frost.
Dermott.
Yeah. It's in Unionville, Ontario.
Joseph Blandisi.
Oh, did Joe Blandisi go there too? Oh, I
Yep.
didn't know that.
Yeah, he did.
Man, that guy could shoot a puck. That's good. Celebrini, Snuggerud, and Taylor Hall. By the way, did you see that pass that Celebrini made last night on the graph goal?
Everything this guy does is outrageous. By the way, just a quick promo across what we do, and this isn't necessarily exactly what you're bringing up, but just wanted to mention this because Rupp brought it up this morning.
Yeah.
They're talking about the Hart candidacy for Macklin Celebrini. Did you know that the San Jose Sharks don't win unless Celebrini has 1 point? Like, they cannot win a game in which he does not get a point.
To me, it's like right now, it's like stop the fight. Like bless Nathan McKinnon, bless Connor McDavid, whose 20-game point streak came to a conclusion yesterday. They handed the Islanders 1-0. Yeah. Bless them. They're incredible hockey players. The definition of the Hart Trophy is most valuable to his team. It's not the best player; it's most valuable. He is the definition of the Hart Trophy with the San Jose Sharks. What's perhaps most impressive about the pass is how he stayed on his feet, taking all that contact, and then still had the presence of mind to make that pass and find, who was it, Colin Graff, in front of the net to make to score the goal. Holy smokes, man! Like,
good connection those guys have there as well.
What do you do?
Graff and Celebrini.
What do you do?
Yeah, what do you do? But let's hope that he can get us on the board here tonight. Kids can't snuggie in the hall, Jeff.
Kids can't snuggie in the hall. It's just we're not trying to crack the atom here. We're just trying to put some extra nickels in Philly's jeans here. Make the weekend go a little smoother. What was the number? What was the numbers on that one, by the way? $5 is going to get you...
$5 gets you 207.75. 207.75. Yeah. I just wanted to play a little clip from something we have coming out later today, if that's all right, before we wrap up.
Let's do it.
So today on the Daily Faceoff channel, premiering, we'll do that again. We premiered the Michael Hage interview earlier, so everyone can jump in the chat and watch it live in real time together. But later today at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, maybe this will be something that Rangers fans, especially after today's announcement, will want to see. Our interview with Malcolm Spence will be dropping here on this channel, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. So let's take a look at Jeff and Malcolm Spence inside the Michigan Wolverines locker room.
Let's do it. What has the transition been like? And like, I think a lot of people would be curious, like the main differences between hockey in the Ontario League and hockey here at Michigan.
I think there's a bunch of things that get grouped in. I think the games are really fast here, and I think sometimes I don't think your body can play to the level that you play in college in the OHL just because of the fact that there's so many games. And I think in the playoffs in the OHL, it's more similar to what is played in college just because of the shortened schedule in college. But I think the biggest difference is just the recovery time. In the O, there's a handful of times that I played games on a Wednesday in Owen Sound and then played again on a Friday in London or in Sunday in Saginaw, just a bunch of games in a week in a short period of time. And I think what's nice about college is you have the whole week to prep for the team you're going to play, because you're going to play them twice on the weekend, and then you're also going to have the chance to recover and win and lift in the gym. So I'd say that's probably the biggest differences.
You know, one of the things that stood out from the Brandon Naurato interview, the coach of the Michigan Wolverines, was he talked about the energy level that Spence brings. It's true. I saw that in Erie, going to a game last year against Sarnia, and just, you know, seeing the kids and how Spence was around them. This is a team that had Matthew Schaefer on it too, and just like the energy level when this guy is around is like through the roof. I thought that was one of the more interesting points that Naurato made in the piece that came out earlier this week. Our conversation with the Michigan head coach. I think a lot of people, and rightfully so, were surprised that Malcolm Spence didn't go in the first round last year of the draft. Like, I didn't think that he was going to be like, you know, top 10 or anything, but I thought, like, for sure this guy's a first round talent. And when I saw that he went in the second round, I'm like, well, Rangers stole one. Rangers got first round value in the second round. Bravo, Rangers. So look forward to that one. By the way, who did the light? Did you do the lighting on that one, on these pieces? Is this your lighting?
Team effort on the. But the color grading and everything was done by our guy Colin. He sent everything over.
Colin's
and then,
excellent. Yeah,
finalized everything. Yeah,
the lighting on the lighting on the shoot is just like a little inside baseball here. But man, the lighting is really good. You guys did a great job.
I mean, the vision of the lighting is typically, or was mostly in that case, Amel. The eye that this guy has.
Good idea. Shine the boss. Okay, really, the real genius here, Jeff, is Amel Delic, our boss, who came along on the trip. Yeah, good idea.
I'm just telling you what happened, Jeff.
What's the
what I saw?
The Homer Simpson line about the three magic words that'll get you through your career? Good idea, boss. Whenever you can say good idea, boss. Doing yourself a world of good, son. You're doing yourself a world of good. Going into business for yourself. That's good to see. You've learned a thing or two on the program here over the last year or so. Looks great. You guys did a great job. And so check that one out, coming out a little bit later on this evening, right here on our Daily
6:30
YouTube
Eastern
channel. 6:30 Eastern. There you go. That's the information as Zach presents, as we say, to be Pacific in the Atlantic. Thanks for joining me here today. A lot of interesting stuff and the Rangers news dropping in our lap. So essentially, as soon as we're done talking to DFO insider Dave Pagnotta, the Rangers announced that they are open for business. So we'll follow that story closely on all of our Daily Faceoff properties and channels, and certainly our website, dailyfaceoff.com. Thanks to Dave for stopping by the show today, as he does each and every Friday. That was a fun week. The chat was hot. Thanks to everybody who participated, everybody who listened, everybody who watched, everybody who subscribed. Whether you're a new subscriber or you've been with us for a number of years, thank you for your attention. You could choose a lot of different things. There's a lot of podcasts, right? There's a lot of shows, a lot of websites. The fact that you choose us here is very flattering, and we don't take it for granted for a moment. Enjoy the hockey tonight. Enjoy it on the weekend. The Sheet returns Monday, 1 o'clock Eastern. Conduct yourselves accordingly. Jeff Marek along with you. I hope you enjoyed the program today. If you did, or maybe even if you didn't, they can't all be gems, folks. Please hit the subscribe button. Also a reminder, every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, Johnny Lazarus, Colby Cohen, I call them the Impact Players. You might know them as a tandem that makes up the Morning Cup of Hockey. Also DFO Live at noon Eastern. This year, your host Tyler Yaremchuk alongside Carter Hutton. Full day's worth of programming right here on Daily Faceoff, your favorite YouTube hockey channel. And as a reminder as well, Zach Phillips, our producer here for The Sheet, said if you subscribe, he'll buy you a puppy. It's true.